Do you struggle setting up your campsite when you have a ton of space in a dispersed camping area and you can kind of set up anywhere? Well, we're going to show you how we set up our campsite today. First of all, when we are in a dispersed camping area, we are looking for a campsite that is big and wide open and that has lots of sun because we need solar. We're going to have no hookups where we are today. So we're running everything off of our batteries and our inverter. Every once in a while, if we have too much shade or too many storms and we don't get enough solar, then we're forced into popping out our generator and keeping up. But luckily, we're in Arizona, we have tons of sun, and we don't normally have to do that. Not only are we camping here, we're actually volunteer hosts for the Forest Service this summer. So I'm going to show you our actual spot and how we set it up. When you're in a dispersed camping area, you actually have the ability to mark off your quote-unquote driveway with some cones. We like to do that because some of the sites are set so far back, someone coming up on the road can't tell that there's someone camped in the spot. So we like to give them warning so they don't have to come down the driveway, turn around, and come back out. We're hosting, volunteer hosting. We don't get paid, but we are able to stay in the spot for the entire summer that we're working, and we get a little bit of water. Other than that, we're on our own for power and for dumping. So we've got our honey dipper coming later today that's going to empty our black and gray tanks, and that's always a real adventure, but it's a whole lot better than having to hook up, take the trailer over to a dump, or even using our little portable RV dump. This is our portable dump tank. We keep it just right here under the trailer. When we're traveling, it actually hooks to the ladder. But when we are stopped, we don't want to look out our back window and see that. So we just kind of hide it underneath the trailer. And if we don't have a honey dipper come to empty our tanks, we just dump into that thing and then throw that in the back of the truck and drive it to the nearest campground or whatever facility that has dump tanks, dump station. But for us, it's worth it to pay this guy that's going to be coming this afternoon because we don't have to move a thing, and it is pretty affordable. It's $75 for him to come out here and dump us, and for us it's worth it. I mean, we are camping here for free, so that's the kind of the only real cost that we have to be here. That makes it really convenient for us. As you can see, the road is pretty rough, but it's not too bad. We go really slow down these roads. This is how you can tell where you can and cannot camp. So the Forest Service puts up no camping signs so that you are not going off of the area that they've designated as a camping spot. We've had some rain lately, so we have still a little bit of water in the puddles, and we're really grateful for that because we've had a wildfire breakout nearby, and we were on ready, set, go status. The people that were closer to the actual fire, they were on an evacuation status to go and leave the area. We were on set, which is the second criteria for if it started to get closer to us, we needed to evacuate as well, but we ended up not having to do that. We are here with a car and a truck and our trailer. And that's because I am going back and forth to home because we've got some things that are happening at home that need our attention. You can see that we're surrounded by forest, and we've got tons of solar on our roof, but it's not always enough to keep up because you can see as the shade, as the sun moves, and we have different patterns of shade during different times of the year, we don't always get enough solar. So we've got a set of portable solar panels that we use that we can move as the sun moves, kind of track that around, and we're able to keep up with our demand pretty easily. We have to have quite a few days of rain and clouds and storms before we can't keep up with our solar panels. We've also got solar lights that we use hanging around the outside of the trailer, and that helps us to keep things lit up at night without having to run batteries or electricity.
Do you want to see the batteries?
Do you want to see the batteries?
Yeah.
Yes, we're proud of our batteries. We like our batteries a lot. So, this is my husband's pride and joy. What is it, Pete? Why don't you talk about it a little bit?
It's about a 300 amps lithium ion, a big 3,000 watt inverter, and solar charger, all the stuff that
charger
makes it all work. Starlink with its own separate inverter.
We've got two inverters, and one is, we use it for Starlink because sometimes that's the only thing that we need an inverter on for. So we don't want to run our big inverter when we just need it for Starlink. That's why we've got that on a separate system.
Thing of beauty right there.
It is a thing of beauty right there. Our portable solar panels, they have a connection. You can see that goes right into the system inside the trailer. We have an extension for those, so if we need to move them, if we're in a real wooded area, then we have the ability to do that. But when we use those extensions, we lose a little bit of efficiency with those. And so we try not to use the extensions if we don't have to. Here is our ladder and our awesome camp flags. It's not real windy right now, but we have 770 watts of solar panels on the roof. And that's why we can come out here and boondock for basically the entire summer and not have to hook up to any kind of shore power or run our generator. So that's awesome. But if we do have too many days of shade, clouds, storms, then we might have to run the generator. And we do use a fair amount of power because our trailer has a regular residential refrigerator. It does not have a dual fuel option. There is no propane available for this refrigerator. So I will say I love this refrigerator because it has tons of space. And it's pretty much as big as our refrigerator and freezer at home. But it does take quite a bit of power to run it, obviously. So there you go. We are full with a residential refrigerator and freezer. And we run a coffee maker. We love our little Instant Pot coffee maker. That takes a ton of power. We used to use all regular camp gear when we were kind of campers, and now we're kind of more like part-time. We're not really full-time RVers, but we're very full-time in the summer season because we like to get out of the heat of Phoenix. All of that, plus our cameras and our computers and all the things the electronics that we need to keep doing videos and shooting them and editing them and uploading them. So we do use a fair amount of power. So that setup that we have with those solar panels on the roof, the portable ones on the ground. So once we start to get that afternoon shade on the top, we're producing a whole lot less solar. That's when we really keep following the sun around with our portable panels. These are lights that my husband made. He just got this light thing here, and then he took a little wooden block, drilled a hole in there so that we can set this in, and now we've got lights all the way around our campsite. So those are really helpful when we have trip hazards, and so we place them around the perimeter. You can see we're here on the rim, and at night you can't see anything because it's pretty darn dark unless there's a good moon out. So we put these little lights all the way around our perimeter, and so that people can see where the edges, where the rocks are. Tripping hazards are lit up that way. And we also have them around our awning out here. That's our seating area and our cooking area. And the tie downs for the wind can also be a tripping hazard. So that's why we have these lights marking those stakes and those wires, so nobody trips on those. This is our camp fire ring. We had fire restrictions when we first arrived this summer, but they have been lifted because we had enough rain. So we actually haven't used this pit yet. We threw a couple starter pieces in there, but we haven't used them. This is where I like to keep our little Smoky Joe Weber charcoal grill, because once we light the charcoal and we're finished using it, I like to dump it right inside the campfire ring. Then it stays nice and clean. We have 2 large rugs that help to keep the dust down and the dirt down. And then when we're walking inside, we're kind of cleaning our feet as we go. We've got 2 pieces of artificial grass. My husband loves those. I like them, but I'm not a total fan because they do take up quite a bit of space in the back of the truck, and they're heavy. So if I had my druthers, I would just have the rugs, but it's a compromise. I actually like the color of the grass. I think it looks really nice, so that works. We still have our propane fire pit set up. We set up the propane fire pit when we first got here. Like I said, we had fire restrictions, so we couldn't have regular campfires. We got the lighter right there. We've got the hose there. The hose runs underneath this grass and rug around here, and then it actually just hooks. It doesn't cook. It hooks to the propane system in the trailer, so we don't have to have a separate can hanging out here for that. Underneath the trailer is where we keep our Yeti cooler, and it stays out of the sun most of the day there. We've got a table here with a tablecloth, and then we kind of stick a few things under there. Those are our pickers when we're going to clean campsites, as our camp host job requires, and we've got a little jug of extra water. We've had a lot of storms lately, so we've been taking our step covers off so that when we walk in with our shoes or socks, that everything isn't getting wet. So those are just, we Velcro those on. Then when the storm is over and we're ready to kind of be like normal, we stick these things back on. And there you go. All right, so this is our favorite garbage can. We love this thing because it actually has a lid. So it's the normal camp garbage can that has a spring in it, and it folds down to nothing. So once you put your can in there and your bag, your liner, we like to actually have this covered up. We have had mice before, and they're a total bummer. So we want to keep all kinds of critters out of there. So this thing has a lid, and you can throw your garbage in there, and then you can, let's see, zip it up. We keep it right here outside the door, but we also keep rocks in the bottom of our garbage cans because they're so lightweight. And if you don't have a ton of garbage in there, we actually have had those blow away in the wind when we have a storm. So these are cool because you can just kind of shove them underneath here so that they are completely out of the rain. The other thing that we always have at our campsite is a fire extinguisher. We keep it right here at the door, so if we need it inside or we need it outside, everybody knows where it is and they know how to use it. We've got rocks that are holding down our rugs. We also have stakes on the corners, but when it gets super windy, those aren't enough. This is a thing for mice. It emits a sound and flashes lights erratically, and it's supposed to keep mice away. Ever since we started using those, and I've been packing all of our food in containers that can't be accessed by mice, like they can't eat through a bag of chips because I have the bag of chips inside a big plastic bin, so they can't get to that. Ever since we started doing that, we've had a whole lot more luck and haven't had any mice since. We've had lots of rain, like I said, so here we are drying a few of our towels and stuff that we normally keep over here. Here is our inflatable kayak. We love using this thing at the lake, but we've had a lot of rain, so we were capturing a lot of rain inside, so we dumped it, and all of the towels, beach towels and stuff that we had covering it. We were drying those out, and now we've got a tarp on top to try to catch some of the rain and keep the critters and the rain out. Over here, we have our bike rack. That is how we carry the bikes. It hooks to the hitch on the back, the receiver on the back of the trailer, and we're able to carry 2 bikes on the back, which is really, really nice because we love pedaling whenever we get a chance. There's some really nice bike paths where we are in the regular campground area. This is our kind of work area. So we have things like our shovel to clean out campfire rings when we need to as hosts and our own. We also have some fuel here, which is what we use. We've got a couple of chainsaws. One is electric, the other one runs on gas. And we clean up the forest when we're here. This is our own thing we do. Every time we find dead and down wood, we like to cut it up, use it for firewood, and cleaning the forest, in our opinion, helps prevent forest fires. And as we burn that, we're using it in a very controlled way, so we're not starting anything. And we also have an axe and a maul to chop our firewood. One thing I'll say is I have seen a timber rattler here, and we do have snakes here, and they tend to go in places like around here. So we are very, very careful, because any kind of like little nook and cranny where they might be able to kind of curl up and hide, that's where we typically find them. There's my bike that has seen better days, and yeah, I just blew a tire on it last week over a couple of rocks, but I got a new one on there now, so that's great. Of course, when we're camping near water and we've got the ability to go fishing, the fishing pole is out. And then this is a little table that we have set up so that we don't have to go in and out of the trailer all the time. We use this. This is our hand washing sink. It's just a normal jug, and turn on the water there. We've got a towel that we bungee to the top because it'll blow away in the wind, and some soap. We've also got a scrub brush out here, a scrub brush, and our chainmail cleaner thing that is what we use for cleaning our cast iron Dutch ovens and skillets. You can see our Ring camera back there. We do use Ring as security. It is something that requires internet. You can see the Starlink antenna. We used to just mount that on the ground, and now that we've got a flagpole, you can see the Starlink antennas on top of the flagpole. The other thing that we really think is important is when we are boondocking, and you can see what the ground is like. There's nothing level. You're not parked on a pad of concrete pad or anything like that. We use a stabilizer on the back of our trailer. It's called a More Ride, and it actually just connects into the receiver. So once we take our bike rack off and we arrive, then we put this stabilizer on, and it really helps to stabilize the inside when we're walking around inside the trailer when we're parked in on this really kind of uneven ground. The other thing about boondocking is some people feel like maybe they're not real safe. We know where we are. We've been coming here for a really long time, and so we do feel safe. But we also take security precautions. Like I said, we've got that Ring camera that we could monitor things if we're not here. This thing is an amazing lock. It is relatively heavy. I don't know how much it actually weighs, but it is something that hooks on, so you basically can't get the thing off without having the appropriate lock. So we know that when we leave the campsite, there's nobody that's going to be able to back up to our rig and just, like take off. We've got lots of different kind of levelers. Here we're just using the normal little yellow block thingies instead of the ride-up things. But also, because we don't have blacktop or concrete or a real, like a paved surface, and we are parked on dirt, all stabilizers and everything that we have that might sink into the ground, when the ground gets wet because we've had a storm, we make sure that we're not sinking into the ground, that we've got something underneath everything. So, so as things begin to dig in with the rain and the mud and that kind of thing, we're not going to get stuck in here. Speaking about uneven ground and a lot of dirt, we also use an RV mat here underneath our canopy, and you can see the ground slopes quite a bit. We're using these little pad spacer things that people a lot of times will put under their tires. We put them under the legs of our tables so that we have an even surface for cooking. Otherwise, this ground is sloped way too much, and you really can't cook safely or efficiently without leveling your tables in some way. You probably know and have seen maybe some of our videos, maybe not. If not, I'll link to our video below where we have show you how we try to attract hummingbirds. We've got a couple of bees here, but we have hummingbird feeders in a lot of places, and we love watching these little guys. They give us a good show, and we really enjoy them. Now, we don't have a lot of bears in the area, so we're not worried about having all of that sugar water hanging all over the place. But if we're in an area that does have a lot of bears, then we don't hang the hummingbird feeders, because not only do they attract the hummingbirds, but they also attract the bears. So this is our shade structure awning. And we've got a couple of string lights that are hanging up on there. We use at night. We love this particular awning. We've had this in very heavy winds, and because of the big opening on the top, it has stood the test of time. And of course, we leave this up for long periods of time as we're camp hosting the entire summer up here. So it's that's the key. It's an overlap, so you don't get a ton of water in unless it's raining kind of sideways or blowing a lot. But those instead of having just small vent holes, really help to let that wind get through here without ripping the top. So our setup, we like setting up our camp cooking equipment over here, the propane stuff. So we've got our propane Weber grill under here. Yeah, it's under there. Our camp stove. We have another garbage can. So when we're cooking, we've got a garbage can over here, and we keep that under the table so that it is protected from rain. We've got we don't use our stove as much as we use the grill. So we've got the stove hooked up to a 1 pound propane can, and we have the grill hooked up to, we've got a squatty and a regular size propane can, and we use that hose and an adapter to be able to use that Weber with a regular propane tank instead of the small ones. We also, one of the reasons that we love boondocking so much is because we have a lot of space between us and our neighbor, and we have awesome, awesome views like this. You can't get this when you're in a normal campground. You can see how much space we have for our vehicles, all of our equipment, and this is just like one of the benefits to boondocking without any kind of hookups, and to surviving forest roads that are bumpy and rocky and hard on your vehicles. So just go really slow, but for us it's worth it to be out here, and we take short showers and really conserve when we're washing dishes and using any kind of water, because of conserving for the water's sake and also for the dump purposes. So so we have a couple of chairs set up here because this is like one of our favorite view spots, and it's a great place to watch the sun come up in the morning with a cup of coffee, or the sun go down in the afternoon. And it's just really peaceful and relaxing, and you just can't beat it. The other thing that you have to think about when you're boondocking is you're bringing all your own furniture. It isn't like a campground where you've got a picnic table set up. So we carry quite a few chairs. We will eat, if it's just my husband and I, this little tiny table that we have here. We will eat on this. If there are more people eating with us, then we've got the table that is over here, that's outside our door. We'll pull that away from there and find a nice little shade spot and set that up, and then just pull our camp chairs up to this to be able to have dinner. We are totally, fully self-contained. Anything that you can think of that would be at a campground, you need to kind of be prepared to not have that here. If you're out here camping and you're under fire restrictions, don't forget that I have an entire video talking about how to camp with fire restrictions, as well as recipes to cook on a camp stove, on a propane camp stove, when you can't have charcoal and you can't have campfires. So I just wanted to say happy camping. Thanks for joining me. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I'll help you out whatever way I can so that you can enjoy dispersed camping out in the wilderness as much as we do. Happy trails!